Hey guys, Pro here at VIP Outdoors, and today we're going to fillet a sturgeon. My dad came up from Eastern Oregon and jumped in the boat with my buddy Tom and managed to get a keeper. But filleting a sturgeon can be a challenge for a lot of people. Number one, because we don't have a lot of practice. Number two is because they don't have a skeletal structure and a natural guide the way salmon do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with taking off all of the fins and all of the scutes. The scutes are all these diamonds. So you got total 5 lines of scutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's get all those removed. Okay, you want a pretty hardy knife for the removing the scutes part. On these pec fins, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get in there and you're gonna find the joint. Just kind of like cutting a chicken wing or a chicken leg, where you find that perfect cartilage and carve it out of there. Okay, I'm actually going to take my knife here, and on this top part I'm going to expose a little bit more. When I say expose a little bit more, I want to expose this part here where I have the meat and then I have what would be the vertebrae. I want to expose that all the way up to the tip. Okay, just like that. Now I'm gonna take this knife, come right behind the collar, go all the way underneath, come all the way to the top. I don't pass that center. I don't pass this center vertebrae area. Turn it over to the other side. I'm gonna come again right behind the collar, go down to the middle, come all the way down underneath the belly to where the 2 cuts on bottom meet up. Now, I'm gonna flip it over just like this. Always point it away from me. I'm gonna use the same shorter knife, anywhere from like a 6 to 8 inch knife, but you want a little shorter knife for this part of the process. I'm gonna start on one side of that vertebrae, and I'm gonna score it just straight down. I'm just applying pressure on the knife straight down, all the way down through the tail of that fish. Now I'm going to go on the other side and go straight down. Remember, always use a cut glove in your opposite hand. Notice how I'm applying pressure with the back of the knife here, all the way down. You're gonna come straight down, another cut, keep it butterflied open. At this point, what you're gonna feel is you're gonna actually feel the rib cage of that sturgeon until you get past the vent, and then you're gonna be able to go all the way through. Okay, just like so. Actually cut through just a little bit there. Good, and then I take this piece and cut it all the way out. Cut it all the way through. And go back to the other side. Same thing. Apply pressure straight down through the rib cage. Push towards the center of the fish. All the tail comes off. Okay. Got some scutes left here. No big deal. Just cut it off just like that. Come up. Now I got both sides, I'm on both sides of the rib cage. This is where having a little bit of a stiffer knife helps out. Push down, break those ribs, go straight down. All the way to the back. Same thing on this side. all the way to the back. Make sure we get this all the way through. Okay, now we have this. Now simply cut out the center of that fish. Good. Now we're going to cut this all the way up to our top cuts. And your sturgeon should butterfly open just like that. Right. Take the hose to it. Sturgeon are, for lack of a better term, gross. I don't know any other way to put it. They're just kind of gross and a lot of weird things going on in there. We get it cleaned up just like that. Now I have two halves of the sturgeon still connected by the belly meat. The belly meat on a sturgeon is not like that on a salmon. So I'm actually going to cut that out. You can tell there's a scoot in the way. Okay, when you cut those scoots off, make sure you get them the best you can. They get in the way when it comes to filleting. Get that out of the way. Now I'm gonna take my thin knife. I'll get this out of the way for now. Work on one fillet. Take my thinner knife, apply the downward pressure, flex the knife just like that. And you want a flexible knife for this. And just run it right down, and we're gonna remove that membrane, that belly membrane, away from the fish. Just like that, keep working it. Sometimes I turn the knife if I missed a section. And here, just keep working that membrane away. It's a little tougher on a sturgeon. You gotta remember, these are older fish that we're dealing with. So everything's just gonna be a little bit tougher, but that's what makes the meat so good on them, and it's a firmer white meat, right? Just keep working that away. So we got her all trimmed back. I've nice and trimmed. We got a little bit up here, trim that off. Just like that. Now I always bring my table or my mat to the edge of my table for this. I bring my fillet to the edge of the table. Now I take my flexible knife, start at the bottom, and I'm gonna remove the flesh from the skin. And it's pretty easy because that skin of the sturgeon is so rough and gritty. I get it removed just like that, discard of the skin. What you have left is your meat, and this is what's called your red meat. Okay, I'm gonna get everything rinsed off again, kind of get the slime off. A couple ways to remove this. You want to remove all this red meat in here. There's no sense in it. This is where they store all their contaminants. So what I start with is cutting up the steaks I want. Or the fillets, excuse me, not the steaks. And what I do, see how you have your good meat and then you have your red meat on top of there? What I do is I turn it vertical just like this. Up on edge, I should say. Take my knife, place it right in between the red meat and the good meat, and go straight down. You miss some, no big deal. Trim it till it's gone. You have that middle section, I cut a V. Get all that red meat off. That's what's gonna make your sturgeon taste fishy, or you've heard some people say it kind of tastes like metal. Okay, then you have a nice clean fillet of sturgeon. So I'm gonna go through, get all this guy cleaned up. All right, we got our gator all chopped up and ready to go. And it's interesting. So really, by the time you trim down a 41-inch gator, there's not a lot left, especially up. This is a Bonneville pull fish. And if you compare this, the thickness of this fillet in comparison to an estuary fish down in Astoria at the end of May and June, totally different animal, but still really, really good meat. So when we fillet these, I think sometimes we feel like there's a lot of waste, and there's just not a lot on the animal. So to get the most yield off of there, you got to make sure you're using the right tools. When I'm salmon fishing, Chinook fishing, I could get away with this Dexter right here, which is the 11-incher, right? I could use that for ribbing. I could use it for pulling the collars out. Whatever I need to use, I could use that knife for. This 9-incher that has a little bit more flex to it, I could use for coho all day long. Great little coho knife. Same with this one, which is a major flexible knife, right? But when it comes to sturgeon, I truly do feel that you need your variety of knives. You need your heavy knife to knock off the fins and scoots. You need your medium knife with a little bit of backbone, a little bit of flex to be able to cut down that meat to where you can flex it to the center of the fish a little bit, yet still break through the backbone. And then your finesse knife that just shaves off all of that additional membrane, red meat, all that good stuff. So anyways, guys, I'm excited to do some cooking videos with that sturgeon, so make sure you stay tuned for those, and hope that helps. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment. Make sure you push that subscribe button.